PyanGo provides a full-service grants application built on top of NetSuite's SuiteCloud development network. Most grants need to comply with terms and conditions required by the donor or funder. For example, our Veterans Research Institute has received a grant to perform research for wounded warriors. The donor has specified that this grant requires a 15% minority participation rate. In addition, Wounded Warrior Research Grant can share indirect expenses such as overhead at a current rate of 10%. Note that this is effective dated, and so different rates can apply at different times. I can easily create a new term or condition for the grant, and PyanGo comes pre-populated with several different types of terms that can be used, or you can create any new one very easily. You can specify a percent or quantity, indicate which type of metric is being used, and then effective date this metric if needed. Most grants will limit which expenses can be charged to a grant. Using PyanGo's Allowable expense feature, you can easily identify only the expenses allowed for this particular grant. PyanGo automates compliance by validating this list during transaction processing. Users will be presented with an error message if they try to charge an expense not on this list to this Wounded Warrior Research Grant. And for cost reimbursable grants, PyanGo will use the list of allowable expenses for the indirect cost calculations to generate invoices back to the donor. The indirect rate then comes from the Terms tab that we just looked at to apply to an invoice. So this is a standard invoice within NetSuite, and you can see that it was generated by PyanGo as an indirect cost recovery. It indicates the Wounded Warrior Research Grant and the particular item that is used to send back to the donor for cost reimbursement. And finally, for grants that are required to use the modified total direct cost calculations from the federal government, we can identify a list of unallowable expenses that could be used on a grant. And again, this will be excluded then from any chargebacks or accounting that would be used for federal grants using MTDC calculations. Overall, PyanGo Grants automates many grant accounting requirements and processes. Thank you for listening to PyanGo.